Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namasarvebhyah. Idam mandatamam krishnam jayeta bhuvanatrayam yadi shabdahvayam jyotir asamsaram nadipyate. So I welcome all of you to this webinar on Śābdabodha systems. So this is the most apt shloka from Kavya Darsha, which actually shows us the importance of Shabda in this world. So it literally says that if there is no Shabda in this world, it's like complete darkness. Okay, and Shabda is that Prakasha which enlightens everything in our world. So just imagine when everything is dark, can you cognize anything? Is it something that you can see and you can learn and you can understand? It's nothing. Okay, so only when there is Prakasha that you can see things around you and cognize them. Similarly, Shabda is that Prakasha which enlightens everything around us and allows us to obtain knowledge in the form of Shabda. Okay, so this is the kind of importance that Shabda has in the entire Śābdabodha systems. Okay, so those for those who want to understand how communication happens. So when a person is speaking, how is that the other person is understanding? How is this conversation happening? Okay, and how is it that a child happens to learn a language? Okay, and in spite of learning and knowing the language, how is it that we can study some text, either of normal, any Vyavaharika Laukika text or a Shastrika text? So for all these kind of questions, Śābdabodha Prakriya will be the answer for that. So one who is well versed and understands the Śābdabodha Prakriya, the Śābdabodha systems that are there in the our Shastras, it makes it very easy to answer these kind of jignasas. Okay, and we know that the Indian parampara has answers for many questions. Okay, so one might think, what is the big deal? If one is speaking, I'm understanding. Why should I actually know the process involved in understanding it? I'm able to understand, I'm fine with it. But this is not, the audience is not that kind of an audience. These are the audience who have jignasa in understanding the process. Who am I? Why I'm living, I'm fine. How do I bother if I have Jiva or Atma, or if I don't have Sharira? I'm there, I'm eating, I'm sleeping, I'm enjoying. So, of course, this is not for that kind of a crowd. This is for those people who have the kind of jignasa to know something, to understand something, and to understand this entire world. Okay, so Śābdabodha helps them in every way. It just not only helps us in understanding the conversation, but it also helps us in interpreting the most difficult conversations or difficult texts by ourselves. Okay, so for that, for such people who have these kind of inclinations to understand the language and communication, one should take up Śābdabodha Prakriya. Okay, so this Shabda is also a type of knowledge. Okay, and we know that in the basic also that Jnanam is actually of two types in our Shastras. One is Smriti and one is Anubhava. Smriti is remembrance. What you have already have Anubhava of that becomes Smriti, and Smriti you can recall. Anubhava is that which you experience. Okay? And with experience, you can obtain knowledge through Pratyaksha, Anumiti, and Upamiti, and Śābdabodha. Okay, One among them is Shābdabodha. So all those Shastras and Darshanas which accept Shabda as one of their pramana have dealt with Śābdabodha. Okay, so there are Shastras also which don't, like Charvakas, they don't take up Śābdabodha. For them, everything is Pratyaksha. They accept only all that they see, they touch, they feel, they smell from their Indriyas. Okay, they don't accept anything other than as any other process. But Shabda is different. So they bring in everything under Pratyaksha only. Okay, so they don't accept Shabda as Pramana. So there is no explanation of or a proper study of Śābdabodha in Charvakas. There are schools like Vaisheshikas and Bauddha where they include Śābdabodha in the Anumana itself. So they say the process of Anumana is very similar to the process of Shabda. Hence, there's no need to accept Shabda as a separate Anumana, but include it in a separate Pramana, rather include it in Anumana. But we have Shastras and Darshanas like Nyaya. We have, of course, Vyakarana, Mimamsa, Sankhya, Yoga. All these Shastras accept Shabda as a separate Pramana. Hence, we have a lot of Śābdabodha related granthas in these Shastras. Okay, this is to just tell you that where can you find the content, what will be the source of, because Śābdabodha is not a separate Shastra or a Darshan. Like when you look at the Chaturdasha Vidyasthanas or the Ashtadasha Vidyasthanas, it is not like a Darshan or a Shastra like Sankhya, Nyaya, Mimamsa, but it is a study. It is a study under these Shastras and Darshans. So where is this study available for me? If I want to locate and go for it, then which are the granthas I need to refer to where I can find this Śābdabodha concepts? So as I said, you can, all those who accept Shabda as Pramana, they have discussed Śābdabodha, but we have prominently three modules. We have three Shastras or Darshanas as such, where it is Mimamsa, Vyakarana, and Nyaya. So from Mimamsa, Vyakarana, and Nyaya, we have elaborate lot of work being done in Śābdabodha, and we have many texts relevant to these. Okay, so what is it that we are going to do here in this particular webinar today is that it's not that I'm going to teach you all these three Shastras and how are the Śābdabodha systems entirely getting into the Shastra as such, but just to give you an overview of these Śābdabodha systems and how does the Śābdabodha happen, what is the process, and why is it that we should actually get into this kind of a study. That will be our focus today. Okay, so keeping that in mind, so everybody would like to know why should, okay, this is to understand language and how to interpret it. Then finally, what will be the application of such a study? So where is it that we're going to apply these concepts and how is it going to help us? So we can apply it to these same interpretational principles or these prakriyas into various other contemporary texts also. It is not limited to Shastra text or Sanskrit text. We can apply these rules and interpretational rules to various other texts and understand them wherever there is a conflict. Like you have many books pertaining to law and constitution guide, where you have a lot of rules. In such cases, sometimes there are chances of misinterpretation of rules, misunderstanding of the statements. So you can apply these principles, Śābdabodha principles, and try to take away the conflict and maybe able to decide what could be the intended meaning of the writer. Okay, so in that way also these things are going to help us. So it will give us a better understanding of whatever subject or text we want to take up. This has largely been used in natural language processing, although we are not going to touch upon it. But these rules from Vyakarana and Nyaya and Mimamsa have been brought into application and have been tested, and various tools have been developed on the basis of these such rules for translations, for machine translations, and for human translations also. So there is another, that is a different kind of an application. And of course, the major and the prominent application that we are looking at is how to understand our own Shastra texts with the help of these interpretational techniques. Okay, so merely you are knowing a language will not give a better understanding of the Shastra, because every Shastra is in a structured way. It has its own terminology, it has its process, a technique, a logic, there are logical arguments. So how do understanding Śābdabodha concepts will make it easy for us to interpret this Shastric text and understand what was intended by the speaker appropriately. As we know, most of this Indian Shastric parampara, traditional parampara, has always been the Guru Shishya kind of parampara, right? But we know that now it is vichinna. It is that chain is broken. We no more have that literal Guru Shishya parampara. There was a huge gap in between, and hence we cannot actually say that my guru or my guru's guru knows actually what was intended by Patanjali or Panini or by Shankaracharya, because that chain has broken. Then what is then still we know we have plenty of text, although a lot of it is not available to us, but still we have a huge portion of literature available in front of us. But how do we take it up and understand that? In spite of knowing Sanskrit, if you want to take up a Shastric text and read, you need many other tools to understand. And Śābdabodha techniques is one such tool. So one has to understand a paribhasha. Paribhasha is some technical language used. So like how in physics and mathematics and chemistry also, you have various technical terms used. Similarly in Shastras also, tat Shastriya Bhasha asti. So every Shastra had its own paribhasha. So understanding that paribhasha, understanding the Shastra's axioms, like understanding the Shastra paribhasha is one tool, if you take it in that way. Then understanding the Śābdabodha techniques will come in hand as another tool for you to interpret and understand these texts in a better way or in a perfect way. Okay, so we from MIT IIKS concentrate more on the third pointer, which says that how important it is to understand a Shastric text independently without depending upon translations or any those other secondary tools. So these kind of Shastric tools which we have in us within the system itself, we must make use of them to understand, and they will actually give us more insightful knowledge, because the writer, the Granthakara himself also might have incorporated these tools while writing the text. Okay, because these are from our own system. Okay, so with that understanding, the third one, for me at least, takes a lot of weightage. So now, having said all that, so for those who are not aware of what does this actual Śābdabodha means, we said that it is to interpret and understand language or communication. So at what part of the language or the communication are we speaking about? So there is always, when we say that there's a communication, there has to be a speaker and a listener. Okay, so now the speaker has some knowledge which he wants to share with others. Okay, so when the speaker is trying to share his knowledge to others, he utters a sentence to share that knowledge. He takes help of the language, and the listener hears that sentence and understands what the speaker wants to say. Okay, now from the point when the listener hears the sentence till he obtains the knowledge, the Vakyartha, the Śābdabodha of that sentence, till that is what is covered under Śābdabodha. Okay, from the point when the listener hears the sentence, what is the procedure in which he arrives at the meaning of that sentence? So that part of the communication is what is precisely dealt in the Śābdabodha systems. So how the speaker has obtained the knowledge and what is the prakriya he uses to utter the sentence in a sentential form is a different concept. That is not discussed in Śābdabodha. What is discussed in Śābdabodha is from the listener's point of view. So from the point the listener hears that sentence to the point he arrives at the meaning of that sentence. So that part of it is the Śābdabodha. It is included, all the steps in between that the listener might have or would be actually applying is what we are going to show you. So every sentence is uttered. All the Shastras, not naming anyone, strongly believe that a person tries to communicate and utters a sentence only when he wants to share some knowledge. Okay, so that's why Jnanam is what is brought in here. So he shares the knowledge, he shares something which is not known to you before. Only then that holds as an he becomes an apta, he becomes a real speaker, okay, and valid speaker. Okay, one who simply repeats with unnecessarily and keeps on saying the same sentences, same words, those sentences are not considered as valid sentences. Okay, so one who is trying to give you knowledge which is apurva, which was not there with you before, only such sentences hold good actually. So that is just to give you an idea of what kind of sentences or what kind of conversation or communication with which we are dealing. This is the kind of language that the Śābdabodha is dealing with. Okay, so now we want to understand in Shastra, whenever you take up a name or say something, you have to be specific about what you're speaking about. So when I said Śābdabodha, then what is it that Shabda? What is a Shabda? So Shabda is Shabdasyayam Shabda. So and Bodha is Jnanam. So Shabda Samandhi Bodha. So having said that Bodha, Jnana, knowledge of Shabda, then I have to define what is Shabda. Is it a Pada? Is it Vani? No, here we are taking Shabda to be Vakya. A sentence is what is intended by Shabda. So this is a Paribhasha. Here Shabda stands for sentence. Okay, so it is not for any sound or just some word or the phoneme, but for the entire sentence is what is considered the Shabda, and the sentential meaning, the jnana of that Vakya is the Śābdabodha, sentential meaning, to be more precise. Now that I said that meaning of a sentence is what is Śābdabodha, now I'll have to again explain what is sentence from what is Vakya. So what is it that how I need to define now what is Vakya. So a Pada Samuha is a Vakya. So Pada Samuha does not mean that just a group of meaningless words put together. Of course, that cannot be taken as a Vakya. So it has to be a meaningful and a complete meaningful unit where together all words put together give us one meaning. useful, meaningful sentence is formed. Only that kind of Vakya, Pada Samuha is considered as Vakya. Okay, so the notion of what is a pada or what is a vakya also differs when we go into the schools of Nyaya, Vyakarana, and Mimamsa. There is a difference in how they are defining their pada, vakya. Okay, that we shall also, when we are looking at the individual systems, we can just touch upon that also. But basically, for everybody, a vakya is one which fulfills the akanshas, okay, the expectancy. So the words in the vakya have to be interconnected. Okay, only interconnectedly they should give one meaning. So they should be ekarthi bhav. One meaning has to come from that sentence. Then it is called a vakya. Now, for example, to just make you understand, because akanksha is one of the most prominent concepts of Śābdabodha systems, whether it is Vyakarana, Śābdabodha, Nyaya, or Mimamsa. Akanksha is accepted by everybody. So just to make you understand what is akanksha, akanksha is the expectancy that words have in a sentence with each other. Okay, so when I say that Rama Ayodhyam Gacchati, so Rama should have some sambandha with Ayodhya, and Ayodhya and Rama. Ayodhya must have sambandha with Rama and Gacchati. There should be some interconnected. So every Rama has some expectancy. Just when I say Rama, what Rama? So I must say that he's doing something, or he's going somewhere, he's eating something. Then the expectancy comes, what is he? Where is he going? Then I have to take that he's eating a phala or he's going to Ayodhya. Then in this way, you have to see what are the expectancies of the word. So that the moment I say Gacchati, and if we stay like that, then immediately the question comes in our mind. Kaha Gacchati? Then I have to say some X, Y, Z, Rama Gacchati. Rama Gacchati, is that okay? Immediately, no, it's still not complete. I can see that there's some expectancy of Gacchati, which is again propping up. And it says Kutra Gacchati. So where? Then I say Ayodhyam Gacchati. So when I say Rama Ayodhyam Gacchati, then I can see that I'm not getting any more questions. The Gacchati verb as such, it looks fulfilled. Okay, the expectancy. The time, the place, Kativadane Gacchati, Kena Yanena Sadhanena Gacchati. All these kinds are not propping up as immediate expectancies. But if a sentence has them, it can be addressed. But without that also, the sentence is giving one meaning. Okay, this is what is called akanksha. And there should not be any left out akanksha in a vakya. So when this akanksha is fulfilled and all words put together are giving us one meaning, then such a sentence is what is called vakya. Okay, so this is just to understand the akanksha. Like for a verb like dadati, so it's not just enough kaha dadati, kasmai dadati, kim dadati. So all three are important. Until unless we don't utter all the three akankshas, only then the sentence becomes complete. So when I use the verb dadati, then I should see what are its immediate expectancies, and all those expectancies need to be fulfilled. When all of them are fulfilled, only I can take that as one single vakya. Okay. Now we are getting into the Śābdabodha Prakriya. Now I said that sentential meaning is what is Śābdabodha. So when a sentence is uttered, the listener hears it. Then what is the Prakriya? What is the procedure that is happening in the listener's mind? See, all Shastras, when it comes to anything, any concept, they give us modules. Okay, the best possible solution, the best possible model they are projecting to us. Okay, and they also justify that with reason, logic and reasoning, that this is how it happens. Okay, so it's not like somebody has opened up the listener's mind and how come that you understood that this is the procedure. Of course, we have a lot of logical arguments in Shastras, and Shastra does this for all concepts. Every concept in Shastra, there's a lot of vada, there's a lot of with pramanas, lot of proof is provided. Okay, a lot of logical arguments are presented, and then they come up with some model. So here we are looking at those already built models and trying to understand those models and trying to apply those models elsewhere. Okay, so these are the ready-made models that we have got. Okay, so if a Śābdabodha, also in our Shastras, we have a procedure which has been put up as the perfect procedure that happens, the process that takes place when the listener listens to the sentence. So the first thing is Padagyan. So he hears to the padas, the phonemes. That is the Padagyan. After hearing the phonemes, he gets the meaning, padartha smriti, arthasya smaranam. So he should have the pada-padartha sambandha in between. So in between padajnanam and padartha smriti, that is obtaining the meaning of that pada, we need there's something called pada-padartha sambandha that he should be aware of, the listener. Say, for example, I'm not aware of Kannada or Malayalam. Then if I listen to the sentences, I do get padajnana. I'm able to hear them, but I'm unable to arrive at the padartha smriti because I don't know the relation between this pada and its artha. So I am lagging at this point, pada and its artha. So when I don't know the pada and padartha sambandha, I cannot go ahead in the Śābdabodha Prakriya at all. So if somebody is speaking a foreign language that you don't know, you're not aware of, then it stops right at the stage of Padajnanam itself. So the Padartha Smriti does not happen at all. And for the Padartha Smriti to happen, you must be aware of the Shakti, the Sambandha, the Vritti that is there between the Pada and the Artha. This is the place where you get the role of Vritti comes in, and most of the Shastras, like all Nyaya, Vyakarana, Mimamsa, all of them accept there are two kinds of Vrittis. One is Shakti, the other is Lakshana. These are the two Vrittis using which, these are the two relations using which you arrive at the meaning of that pada. Okay. IIKS also give us that every pada can have a rudhartha, a dictionary meaning. It can also have a yogic artha, okay, a derived meaning from its etymological derived meaning. It can also have both combined, yoga rudharthas. A little bit of it is yogika and then it is become rudha. So these are the different kinds of classification, although I'm not just named it, but I'm not going to define them here as we are not touching upon getting deep into those things. But if someone is interested, just to let you know how the prakriya actually happens, so I'm just describing it. So this is a place where you decide how the meaning of that word. And to decide the meaning of the word, you must be aware of these vrittis available, and you must be, only when you are aware of this relation, this pada-padartha vritti, sambandha, only then you will be able to come to the second stage of padartha smriti. Okay, from this padartha smriti, we can obtain, now that we know the meaning of each pada in the sentence, then we can arrive at the Śābdabodha, the sentential meaning. Now to arrive at this Śābdabodha, again there are some sahakari karanams. Like we had this Shakti Jnanam as one of the Sahakari Jnana for Padartha Jnanam and Padartha Smaranam. Padajnanam and Padartha Smaranam. Similarly, from Padartha Smaranam to Śābdabodha, again we have some more Sahakari Karanas required here. One is Asakti Jnana. Some more knowledge is required. And one is Akanksha Jnanam, which we had discussed. So we should know the expectancy between the words. Okay, we should be aware of that, like how we had seen for Gachati, for Dadati, what are the expectancies it has? Or when I say Rama, then what is the expectancies of Rama? Rama, there should be some action, there is an action expectancy, there is some other karma expectancy coming with it, depending upon the action that we have selected. So all these come, these expectancy jnanam knowledge comes under this Akanksha. What is this Asakti jnana? Asakti is nothing but there should not be a gap when you are uttering. Okay, so Asakti is nothing but Sannidhi, the proximity. Proximity is again two types here. One is the proximity of the pada and its vibhakti. So you have Rama and the pratyaya, su or thing, pratyaya that is added. So the prakriti and pratyaya, there should not be, there is an proximity. It has to be written. So you write Rama here and vibhakti somewhere else. That's not possible. So you have to write its vibhakti also, whether it is prathama, dvitiya, tritiya. It has to be written along with that word only. So this is one kind of proximity. The other proximity is in ucharana, while you are uttering it. So you say that I'll say Rama today, then Vanam tomorrow, and then Gachati the day after. You can't give so much of gap. Okay, there has to be uttered in a prescribed time period. The time period required for the phonemes to be uttered, that much time only it has to take. So, padanam avilambena ucharanam sannidhi. So, there should not be vilamba, there should not be delay in their uchara. That is one kind of asakti, so that it should not be there. There should not be vilamba. And one is the asakti between the prakriti and pratyaya. There also you cannot do the delay. You cannot write them, you cannot include any other word between them. You have to write them with some kind of a proximity. So this is also mandatory. Only when that is there among the padas, we can derive the Śābdabodha. When Akanksha is fulfilled, there is Akanksha between the words, and that Akanksha is fulfilled, then the Anvaya happens, and then you can derive at the Śābdabodha. The next is a Yogyata. Arthabhado Yogyata. So the Yogyata, if this is a Yogya word to be used, okay, can we use one particular Kriya with some other Karta or not? So there is an Yogyata which goes with what? So that Yogyata also has to be taken care of. So all these three Karanas become very important. And when you have knowledge of all these things, then you can arrive at the Śābdabodha. Okay. So this is the procedure in which we can arrive at the Śābdabodha of the given Vakya or the Vakya that is uttered or from the sentence that we are reading it from a text. So I hope this is clear. If required, we'll come to this. So we shall get into the, just get a feel of how the different Shastras are putting up and coming up with the Śābdabodha. So when we take an example like Ramaha Vanam Gacchati, so in the Vyakarana model of Śābdabodha, what are the steps? Like we said, the padas, padajnanam. So here we are giving Ramaha Vanam Gacchati. Then Rama has two meaningful units. One is Rama, the Pratipadika. The other is the Vibhakti. Okay. And for Vyakaranas, a Padam is either Sup Tigantam Padam. So it should either have a Subanta or Tiganta attached to it. So this Vibhakti, which the Visarga that you see, which is a Vibhakti, Prathama Vibhakti, when Rama is attached with this Vibhakti only, it happens to be one Pada. Similarly, Vana plus which is the Dvitiya Vibhakti then it becomes another Pada. Similarly, Gacchati with Ting Pratyaya, Ti, this Pratyaya, then it becomes Gacchati. So in this manner, we have Rama Vanam Gacchati from the Vyakarana model. Then if you look at it, Rama is of course the meaning for Rama. Then the Prathama Vibhakti is giving us the Karta. We need not get into the technical understanding of what is Karta, Karma. It is just to make you understand the procedure. Okay. Then Prathama is giving us Karta. Then we have the meaning of the word Vana, and the Dvitiya Vibhakti is giving us the Karma meaning. And then we have Gamana Kriya, and this Tipratyaya is giving us the Ekatva, the singular meaning. So we can see that everything is getting Anvaya in the Gamana Kriya. The Rama, the Karta, and the Vana Karma is also getting their Anvaya in the Gamana Kriya. Similarly, this Ekatva Rupa Sankhya is also getting Anvaya in Gamana Kriya. So we can observe that the Kriya is given the importance, and all the words in the sentence are getting connected to the Kriya ultimately. And hence, there is a technical way of presenting this. Rama Kartrika Vana Karmaka Ekatvanishta Gamana Kriya. So the Śābdabodha for the sentence Rama Vana Gacchati is for Vyakaranas Rama Kartrika Vana Karmaka Gamana Kriya. Okay, so this is how will be the end result, the Śābdabodha sentence of the Vyakarana. We can see that it uses some kind of a technical language. Okay, this is a paribhasha. It is represented in a paribhasha. And we all know why we do it, so that we take away the ambiguity. So we are already here to disambiguate all the meanings and give only one vakyartha, to give one prescribed meaning of that sentence. And in Laukika Vyavahara Bhasha, when you are uttering something, there are chances of a single sentence having multiple meanings. So to avoid that, Shastras always use a paribhasha, a technical language, to delimit the meaning and to disambiguate. So for that, even the Vyakarana model has a prescribed Śābdabodha terminology that it uses in defining the Śābdabodha. So there in the Vyakarana model, it will be Rama Kartrika, Vana Karmaka, Ekatvanishta, Gamana Kriya. So the notion of pada here is either Subanta or Tiganta is only one pada, and all the padas in the Vakya get their Envaya in the Kriya. Okay, this is how the Vyakarana model. This is just an elementary kind of introduction. Okay. Okay. Here I think one step is skip. Okay. So now we are getting into the Nyaya model. We can see that for the same sentence, of course, I've rearranged it so that the Anvaya Krama is not confusing. So Vanam Gacchati Ramaha is how I've just put it up for your better understanding. So we can see here in when it comes to the Nyayika model, for them, any meaningful unit is pada. It's not about Prakriti and Pratyaya. It is any meaningful unit. So here Vanam has Vana and Prathama Vibhakti, that is Karma. So Vana is also one pada, Karmatva is also one pada. Nayayikas represent everything in Bhava form. This tverse form is used. They represent it. It's their technical terminology representation, how they do it. They go to the dharma and then represent it in that form. So the karma, the karmatva is also there, one unit, one pada, and vana also is one pada. Okay, here just vanam has two padas. One is vana and one is the vibhakti artha, because both are meaningful units. Pratipadika also is a meaningful unit, and pratyaya also has its meaning, so that is also a meaningful unit. Similarly for gacchati also, gamana kriya, and it has kriti. Kriti is action. Gamana and the action, the kriti. And for Rama, it is Rama and the Sankhya, Ekatva. So there are two meanings. Now here, everything is getting its Anvaya in Rama. Okay. So the Vananishta Karmatva is getting its Anvaya in Rama. Then Gamananukula Kritihi. So the Gamananukula, the Gamanasya Kritihi asti, that the action of going, it is there in Rama. Where is the action? The action is in Rama. So that action is also getting its Anvaya in Rama. And this Ekatva Sankhya is also getting its Anvaya in Rama. So when we look at the technical Śābdabodha of Nyayikas, it's Vana Nishtha Karmatva. So Nishthatva is a sambandha between Vana and the Karmatva. That is the relation. Okay. So Vana Nishtha Karmatva Nirupita. So this is the Nirupita Samatha. Gamananukula Vyaparaha. This Gamananukula Vyaparavan Rama. So previously in the Vyakarana model, we had seen that everything is getting its Anvaya in the Kriya. Here we can see that everything is getting its Anvaya in Rama. Okay. Also the notion of Pada is different when it comes to Nayayikas. They accept Shaktam Padam, anything that has Shakti, it has the power, any meaningful unit is a Pada. For Vyakarnas, it is Suptingantam Pada. So in that way, you can see the difference between the two models and how they derive at Śābdabodha. Okay, one, the head of the sentence is Kriya, and here it is Rama. So next we are getting into the Mimamsa model. The Mimamsa model is also very similar to that of the Vyakarana model, but a slight difference is there. So similarly, like how we had seen in Vyakarana model, Rama has Rama and Prathama Vibhakti, and Prathama Vibhakti denotes the Karta. Then we have Vana and Dvitiya Vibhakti. Dvitiya Vibhakti stands for Karmatva. And here in Gacchati, it's Gam plus Ti. Okay. Now, Gam stands for Gamana. Okay. This Ti, whichever the thing pratyaya that we are using, that has Kriti, that denotes the Karta, and that also gives the Sankhya. Okay. So this everything get their Anvaya not in Gamana, but in this Kriti, which is getting denoted with Ti. Okay, the action of going. Although the Gamana is there, the Kriti is more important for Mimamsa. So this Karta also gets its Anvaya in Kriti, the Karma also gets its Anvaya in Kriti, and the Gamana Kriya also gets Anvaya in Kriti only. Okay, so when we look at the sentence, the technical sentence that they use, then it is Ramanishta, Vana Karmaka, Gamananukula, Vartamanakala, Ekatvanishta, Kriti Man, it be Kriti. So the Anvaya goes to the Kriti. So the head is not either Rama or the Gacchati verb, but it is the Kriti here. Okay, and whereas the motion of word is again Pada is again same as that of Vyakarana only. There's no much difference there. But whereas in Vyakarana they take Kriya, the entire Kriya as the head of the sentence, but in Mimamsa they take this Kriti as their head of the sentence. So in this way, again, you can see that the terminology used differs from each Shastra, and each of them have a different perspective of deriving at the Śābdabodha. Okay, although the Prakriya followed by them is same only. Prakriya insists Padagyan, Padartha Smriti and Śābdabodha with all the Sahakari Karanas of Shakti Jnana, Sakriya, Kanksha, and Yogyata and everything. But when it comes to interpreting a sentence, when deciding upon the head of the sentence, in which pada of the sentence will all the other padas get connected, and how to represent the Śābdabodha terminology also differs from one system to the other. So this is how we can see that in all the three systems, although we are not going deep into the Shastra, but just to get an overview of how these three Shastras are functioning. As I said, we also have discussion about Shabda in Vedanta, Sankhya, etc. But as such, the emphasis and elaborate discussions happen only in these three models. And all the others have accepted either of these models and followed it. So there's no Pratipatti when it comes to the other Shastras. So that is why prominently when it comes to Śābdabodha systems, we usually discuss only these three Shastras. Okay, so I think if there are any questions or anybody wants to ask anything, then they are welcome to do it.
So in the Vyakarana model, the Vartamana Kala is not important, is it?
No,
Or
it
you
is
didn't
important.
mention?
It is important. Maybe I did not put. The Kala is also coming from Ti, but the Anvaya happens in Gamana.
Okay.
So Ekatva, the Ti only is giving also the Vartamana Kala information.
Right.
That is there. So that is also getting its Anvaya. That information also will come into Gamana Kriya. Yes. Oh, anything else?
Namaste, Mahodaya.
Namaste.
So this sentence that we have considered is a fairly simple one.
Yes.
If we were to consider a complicated sentence, then will the meaning through each model be different, or will the same meaning be ascertained?
The meaning will be the same, okay, but the emphasis will differ. Okay, so we can see that in Vyakarana model, the emphasis is on Gachati Kriya. We can observe that when it comes to Nyaya, the emphasis on Prathamanta words. Okay, wherever there is a Prathamanta, the Anvaya is happening with that. And each, this was just an overview, okay. So each Shastra has its own reasoning for why it has chosen something as Pradhana. Where the Anvaya has to happen. Okay, so the meaning ultimately derived will be same, but the terminology and the representation, there will be little difference. Representation in sense, the verbal representation of this sentence. The Rama Kartrika, Vanakarmika, the Nishtha, the Sambandhas that come in, they change, but the meaning in all the three models will be the same. But
Okay.
if you consider emphasis also as one of the important points of the meaning, so in that way we can say that it changes, right?
And how are we to learn this the way each Shastra is interpreting the sentence in a unique way? How are we to, if we want to learn this, we have to learn that Shastra, or?
Yes, of course, there is the Shabda part, okay, and you have various texts pertaining to Śābdabodha and each of the Shastra, okay, which discuss only about the Shabda Prama. So when you take up the text, or when you go to the, even like in a text like Muktavali of Nyaya Shastra also, you will have to go to the Shabda Pramana, or you have separate text, Shaktivada, and you have Śābdabodha Mimamsa Granthas also. And in Mimamsa also, you have a lot of interpretational texts available. So when you go there, you can actually find out that how they actually, the entire Śābdabodha Prakriya happens in each of the Shastra. You have to take up the Shabda part of the text.
And then we'll be able to arrive at the right interpretation through these models.
Yes, if you have the Shastra Jnana and you have the knowledge of studying Shastric books, then you can do it yourself. We have this, like how you have, if you are aware, then you have Anumana Pramana, which is discussed at length in all the Nyaya text. Similarly, the Shabda, you will need a lot of course, Vyakarana Jnana also. So the basic Vyakarana Jnana, like what are the vibhaktis, what are the karakas. So again, each Shastra, like Nyaya, also discusses what has to be taken as karta, karma. But precisely the discussion regarding karakas and vibhaktis, you have to take from Vyakarana only. So in that way, you will need, they're interdependent. Okay, so you need to have some knowledge, basic knowledge about the karakas and the vibhaktis and the samasas. Then with that, you can take up each and every model, the Vyakarana, Nyaya, Mimamsa, and you can try to derive the meaning of that from each model. Take some complex sentence also and try to derive at the meaning of using the Śābdabodha Prakriya and apply it.
Okay. Thank
Yes. You. Yeah. So anybody, anything else? Yes, so I can see in the chat that Deepaliji is asking, can we say that Nyaya has more flexibility in giving Śābdabodha since padas have individual meaning? I'm not, this is not very clear. Deepaliji would like to ask herself. Flexibility in sense?
Hari Om. Flexibility means like you have, I mean, you can have more meanings out of it.
Can we look at that Nyaya model slide?
Yes, sure. So I think in Nyaya model, it was my bad that I actually had to put this intermediate step also here, like how I've shown in the Vyakarana. So this Rama and Prathama. Similarly, in Nyaya also, you will be getting this Vana and the Prathama Vibhakti. So for Nyayikas, it is Shaktam Padam. So any meaningful unit is one pada. Okay. So now Vana is one meaningful unit and Prathama Vibhakti is also having a meaningful meaning here. Sorry, Karma Dvitiya Vibhakti is also a meaningful unit. Okay, so Vana, the meaning of the word Vana will be Vana and the Dvitiya Vibhakti will be Karmatva. So in that sense, actually, for Nayayikas, one Padam is also Vakya because Pada Samuha is Vakya. So even Vanam is a combination of Padas, is Pada Samuha. So Vanam is also for them one Vakya, actually, in Nayayikas notion. So, but how will it give flexibility is something.
I think what is fair to say is in the Nyaya model, it will be a little more granular because basically they split up. They try to represent the relations between the entities more clearly and without ambiguity. Therefore, they split up and you will find more use of these precise paribhashik terms like Nirupita and Nishtha and all that is all coming from Nyaya. So I think the same thing will be said by splitting up. So when you say if I say Neelam, Kamalam, they might say Neelatva, Kamala Nishta, Neelatva, Nirupita, something like that they'll say. Whereas so you'll say the same thing by splitting up into two or more relations. Whereas in Nyaya, in Vyakarana, you might say it with represented with just one relation. That might get broken up into two or three different relations to precisely and unambiguously represented in Nyaya.
Yes, the breaking up happens.
So, rather than flexibility, I think it's more of higher granularity and with the aim of being more unambiguous. So therefore, it might bring in some complexity also. When you first look at it, it may be less obvious than the other two models. I think in the other two models, if you just know Sanskrit also, you might be able to do it, understand what they're saying. With Nyaya, you might need a little more paribhashik.
No, it is see, paribhasha is required at every level. Okay. But the issue happens is when you're introduced to Sanskrit, you're introduced with Vyakarana. So anybody who is getting first introduced to Sanskrit gets introduced through via Vyakarana. So this via media being Vyakarana, one take it for granted that this is the only way that we do it. There is no exposure to the other two models actually, and and hence it becomes very natural to do it via a Vyakarana model. But if you start the Shabda process from the Nyaya model itself or the Mimamsa model, that will also look as natural as the other two models. But when it comes to the Sambandhas, of course, Nyaya has a great kind of important, gives a lot of importance to the Sambandhas. And it has, but of course, again, the paribhasha is very limited when it comes. Vyakarana also has paribhasha. Vyakarana is also dividing Vanam as Vana and Pitiya, but it is not accepting them at the. It is accepting them as only phonemes only. It is not taking it as a pada. Okay, it is accepting it that Varna kind of this thing only when the Prakriti, Prakriti and Pratyaya together only it becomes a pada. But the notion of pada is different here when it comes to the Nyayikas. They accept to them any meaningful unit as one pada. So we can say that there are two sentences or three sentences in this one sentence. And how do they answer that question again? And do you say that there are three Śābdabodhas and then combine them? It says no, because of the expectancy. They also accept akanksha, right? So they say that because of the akanksha of the gam agachati or of the akanksha of the nama, the three sentences become one and give one vakya. This is how they explain when we ask them, then how do you actually give three sentential meanings and then combine them? And this is not required because there is no akanksha purti happening, just vanam or rama or gachati. Hence, the akanksha purti is happening only when we are combining them together. Hence, we can combine and have one meaningful sentence. So yes, every system has their own. There are some axioms on which they are built. So keeping them in mind, it is not that just on the basis of the Shabda Pramana, they are giving the entire model. So the model is, you have to look up at, it is a whole. Okay? So every aspect of this world is addressed by Nyaya Shastra. Every aspect is addressed by Vyakarana Shastra. Every aspect is addressed by Mimamsa. So it does not, because it is today Śābdabodha, we are accepting it differently, and when it comes to Brahma, we accept it differently. When it comes to Pratyaksha, we accept it differently. No, it's not like that. It's that the basic axioms are taken up and the entire system is built upon that. So when there is no Kriya Pada, what will anybody do if it is there? Following a Vyakarana model. If there is no Pratamanta Pada in a sentence, then how do we derive it to Śābdabodha? Why is Kriti required? Why can't we ignore Kriti and take Gamana only? What is important of Kriti? Because it has to address Veda Vakyas. So every Shastra again is justification. So at that point of the time, as Swaminathan ji has rightly mentioned, that this is a very simple sentence. There's no complexity. So you're not understanding that if there is some sentence where there is no Pratamanta, then how do we derive the Nyaya model of Śābdabodha? If there is no Kriya Pada in a sentence, then how do we derive it? Śābdabodha of that sentence. So these are the things, again, if you take it up for the study, is that when you go more deeper into the Shastra, you get answers, all logical answers for all these questions. And in given such a situation, how is it that we can derive it? The Śābdabodha is also very clearly mentioned. So these are all the concepts involved when we take it up for the study. Okay, so this was just an overview. So we can.
Does the Śābdabodha model have any role to talk about when it comes to learning a language? When a child learns to speak a language, do they learn Śābdabodha? And if they do, then is it then which of these models is it, or is it some combination?
See, which of these models? I'll first answer that question. See, you have to understand that it's not just in Śābdabodha that you have different models, as I said. So all our Shastras and Darshanas, Because they are different models, they are different Shastras. If what physics is doing, the same thing chemistry is doing, you don't require two Shastras. So if what Nyaya is doing, the same thing Vyakarana is doing, you don't require Nyaya as different from Vyakarana. They both will merge and become one. So everybody is giving you a different perspective. Now which one you want to accept is you are free to do. That is the beauty that the Indic Shastras are giving you. Okay, some of them follow it because of the Guru Shishya Parampara, my Guru or my family follows, this is the Parampara, so I study this Shastra. Some, it might be appealing. Can we combine them? Of course. Today, when we are applying it to the other languages or the mission translations, we are combining all these concepts put together. There's no harm in combining them. They're basically all are Indic. They're all Vedic Shastras. So there's no harm in combining all this concept and derive your own system. But there has to be some apurva that is coming out of it. Only then it can be accepted as a Shastra. If any one of these are already established it, then you can't be accepted as a separate Shastra, but always combine them and apply them. There's no harm in doing it. And why these different perspectives? Because you were given the different approach to reach the same lakshya. Okay, so it is all the prasthana bheda. It's all the difference in the path you choose. So whichever path you choose, you can attain that lakshya through that path. So like, does the Śābdabodha differ? No, the difference is in taking the path. It's the difference is not in the artha. Okay, anyway, the artha which is there will remain that only. It can change. It's how the approach you are going to reach at it will differ. And coming to the first question, what will be the model? How is it that a child, when it learns, does it learn with? Of course, the child is born. I can't quote it as the final answer, but having worked in this Śābdabodha systems for some time, I feel that the child from birth is born with certain skill, language skill. That's it. So if the same child whose mother tongue is Telugu is being brought up in Rajasthan, so he does not understand mother tongue, but he will easily understand Rajasthani if he's only spoken in that language right from his birth. Then how is it that the language, then if it is coming from birth, then he should be able to speak Telugu, irrespective of which language he's being taught about. So a child completely learns the language skills. The skill is the prakriya of the pada jnanam, padartha smriti would be the same for the child also. But his padartha jnana, which we were saying as Shakti, he acquires only from Vyavahara. Vyavahara of his parents or his relatives at home or his friends. From that Vyavahara around him from say the 3rd or the 4th month, first it is only Padajnanam, he's only hearing the sounds. And then with Vyavahara, you know that upamiti, no? The upamiti kind of a thing. So Ga Manaya, then somebody is bringing the Ga. The mother is saying, come, and doing some action. He's relating the word to the action and then understanding, okay, so she's calling me and she's telling eat and feeding something. So this word means to eat. So from Vyavahara, he learns the arthas, the padarthas. And then after padarthas, the mechanism, I can say would be the same. The Padajnanam, Padartha Smriti and Śābdabodha. The mechanism could be the same, but he learns it through Vyavahara, the Padarthas. So that is not something which he will be having it in. So then how he does Śābdabodha, he's free to do it in any model. So nobody can restrict the child. So these are if I'm an IIK, I would say that this is the model which he would be following. So it all depends on from which we follow. So these are all the modules, but the Prakriya will remain the same. Yeah. I hope I had answered that.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else? Anybody wants to?
In Bhartrhari's Vakyapadiyam, he says, of course, he refers to all the three, Vyakarana, Nyaya and Mimamsa Shastra. And then ultimately, basically what he says is it is Shabda Brahma. So there is only one Shabda Brahma. And all these are actually different manifestations. Just like there is a Brahma and there are so many things in the creation which appear to be different, but they're all ultimately different manifestations of the same Brahma. Same way he says all these Varnas, Padas, Vakyas, they're all different manifestations of the same Shabda Brahma. The analysis of Varna, Pada, etc. is basically done for purpose of verification or analysis or teaching, and that is not necessarily how it actually happens. When somebody is communicating and when I'm understanding what they're saying, I don't necessarily first look at Varnas and then combine them into Padas and then do Akanksha. It is all happening spontaneously. So they call it Sphota.
Happens. Yes.
So they call it Sphota, and then they say this is because of Shakti, which we have called Pratibha, which is like linguistic intuition. And that's what comes into play. And that some of it is inborn, as you said, and some of it develops over time through Abhyasa and Vyavahara.
Vyavahara and Abhyasa. But see, when somebody wants to, everything, I completely agree with Vyakarana. That would be the best philosophical answer that one can give. But when we want to skip a kind of a procedure, a step-by-step process, how it can be, then we can take up any of these models.
Correct.
And say that yes, this could be because of this could the process, or it could be the Vyakarana model. But these, as I said, that's why I call them just models. Okay.
Yes.
These are,
so he says these are all upadhis.
Reality. This is not. That's why I always term them as models. These are just the skeletons.
Abstractions. Okay? These are all abstract models.
Models that the system is giving us.
Yeah.
And why is the system giving us these shastras? For our better understanding.
Right.
Okay. So that we can obtain knowledge without ambiguity. Okay, so that we can avoid nanarthas and obtain one single vakyartha from every vakya. So ultimately, when we are trying to obtain knowledge, all these things come in hand as tools to us, which help us in obtaining that or reaching that Shabda Brahman. So that is how we can look up it. Okay, so I think if there are no more questions, then we can probably end the session here. So we also have such beautiful courses offered in MSc level, where all these courses they all give you an overview of such concepts. Then it's up to you. You can choose and you can go in deep and do a study of them. But first, one needs to have some kind of an exposure. At least one should know that these things are there in the system, so that they can take it up and do a research or study more deep into it. So if anybody else wants to say or ask anything, you're free to do so. Okay, so I think then we can end the session here. Thank you, everybody. It was really nice of all of you to be here and have patiently heard the entire session and responded so well. Please be connected with the MIT IIKS. You can visit our website and explore the courses available with us. Thank you. Dhanyawada. Shubhratri.
Thank you very much.
Dhanyawada.
It was very nice. It is very nice.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sushma.
Thank you.